pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Not that I'm not loud enough, but there's the microphone. Right, so we have an updated agenda here with the vouchers now that staff are back in the office, starting with our council activity reports. It's been a slower week for me than the last time, so I'm sorry that you guys don't get to listen to me drone on for 20 minutes. Tarek and I met with representatives from AMPI last week. Ron was there, and Chuck, I don't think you were you at that meeting last week? Okay. We met with AMPI representatives, talked a little bit about their potential future expansion plans, making sure mostly that we're all on the same page as we look at downtown road reconstruction and possible redevelopment. Glad to hear where they're thinking about going for the city. Otherwise, I unfortunately missed the policies and procedures. Was getting ready for a trial last week, so missed that one. Paul went in my place, I assume, or is what I've heard. So whatever's left of that committee after he was there.
Just happened to be here, right? I pitched it for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Otherwise, I had, we met with Corey Becker. Say Corey Fisher, no. Corey Becker from Representative Fishbach's office over at the fire hall, talked about the need for a new fire hall and a new public safety building. He was supportive. He also comes from a small town. I think he said of about 750 people. So he's familiar with small town fire departments, the needs of departments and things like that. He's hopefully going to get in touch with some federal funding, along with some, I don't remember what they called it, the new Washington term for earmarking and pork funding, but hoping to get the little city of Painesville a couple $1 million that nobody in the federal government would ever notice went missing. And then probably the most exciting thing I had was I was excited to speak over to a group of elementary kids for the PAWS program. They were enthusiastic. They gave me a lot more credit than I probably deserved, but that was nice. Their main issue was seeing improvements made to the splash pad. I let them know that with unlimited budget, we could probably do that. I was impressed that one of them said, well, you can just raise taxes. The impressive part was that they knew what taxes were. So they even suggested an amount that I think would make sense, which is if we raise taxes to $2,000. So.
Across the board?
How old are these kids?
Just the elementary school kids. So just something for the city, I think, to keep in mind as we look at the next budget cycle is funding the city out. $2,000. Yep.
Nice.
That'll improve the splash pad and everything else. So I don't, shouldn't be a problem.
Couldn't be.
They thought it was enough money. That's all I have. Neil?
I was at the policy and procedure meeting on the 15th, and I also was at the AMPI executive meeting, and then I represent the city at the Green Roof board meeting on the 26th. And that was it.
All right, thank you. Megan?
Thought I had more time. 1 second.
Jean? We'll come back.
I'm good. So we did, I believe the only meeting I had before going to Duluth was the EDAP meeting. And we discussed the McDonald's pulling out of that building, childcare, some different things in town that are needed. And then I went to, did we have Park and Tree before? Last meeting? I saw Park and Tree where we talked about tennis courts. Let's see, so then I went to Duluth to the LMC conference with Jean, and some of the educational sessions I went to were childcare as an economic development tool. There's some interesting things there. Basically, nobody has any answers, just things that might work. So that's kind of where we are, but kind of where I assumed we'd be. So there are some things we could possibly try there. and then some redeveloping underutilized properties, which mostly focused on brownfield sites and things like that. So it was pretty interesting. And Gina and I also went on a couple mobile tours this year, which was really fun. One was on the seaport, which was just kind of interesting, and the other was about housing issues and kind of the way they've made some things work there, which obviously in Duluth is not going to work the same as here. But what I took from it was just a very interesting way of, they worked with what they had. And I thought that was kind of a good thing to take from that. And then I did attend the meeting yesterday of the Concerned Citizens about Nature Energy. And I don't want to talk about the actual workings of biogas in general or nature energy in particular. I think that's best left to the experts, but I did have a couple of things that I wanted to clarify because they didn't really have time at the meeting with the majority of the people that were there. So one of their concerns that I wanted to ask about was they were told, the people at this meeting were told by some of the presenters that because of the stack height, the FAA would have to reroute planes and things like that. And is that going to be the case, Ron or Chuck? Do you know? Do you think it's going to change flight patterns or anything? It's going to be a concern whatsoever?
No, the only thing I believe the FAA will have to do is just verify this, or we will have to verify the height of the stack.
That it's there and
We'll have to go through that process.
lighted appropriately and everything, but not, okay. That's what I thought. I didn't think it would do anything at all. And then they were also, the people at this meeting were also told that Nature Energy would keep their employees to 10 or under so that they did not have to follow OSHA regulations. I do not believe that to be the case. I think when you have under 10 employees, the way you have to record illnesses or incidents is maybe different, but that might be the only regulation. So Nature Energy will, in fact, have to follow OSHA regulations if they come here. Just want to get that out there. And the other thing was that the people at this meeting were told that the frontage road that will be needed will be paid for by taxes. And I told them that it wouldn't. I'm not sure if they believed that or not, but I just wanted to clarify that as well, because I believe we spoke about that the frontage road would be paid for by the business hoping to occupy that space.
Yes.
I think at this point, that's probably what will happen, but it's all going to come down to the
Exactly.
platting process.
Yes.
And as of right now, we don't have an application for a plat, we don't have
Nope.
an application for a conditional use permit,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have an application for a building permit. So, and
That was also sort of not, I don't know, it's the truth, that's the way it works, but I don't know how many people were confident in that. But anyway, I just wanted to, like I said, I want to leave the inner workings of Nature Energy or any other plant or any other building that may or may not go there to the experts, but those things I felt left some of the people there unfairly confused, and I just wanted to clarify that. So I believe that is all I have for now.
all right, thank you. Jean?
Well, I had a liquor board meeting before we went to Duluth, and Bill will be talking about what we did there, because we're planning the fundraiser for the fire department, and then the EDAP meeting that Megan mentioned. And, yeah, I went to a couple different workshops than Megan. We went to different ones. It was, one was on conflict, and they had a panel of speakers, and that was township, and it was school board, president of the association, and it was Stearns County, not Stearns County, county commissioners, and so it was how they get along together. And that was very good. The second one I went to was on grants, and it mostly had water, sewer, wastewater, and that type of grants available. And then we received an award.
Yes, we did.
We got the first step of our green cities, and so we got this little block of wood that's got printing all over it saying Green Step City, City of Painesville.
And in fact, it is green.
Only one side.
And since we're the only city there who was at step 1, everybody else was higher or else at step 0, we had to stand alone and be applauded by a room.
We had to have our picture taken.
Yes.
I was gonna say, on the housing mobile tour we went to, there
Yeah.
was a lot of unique types of housings they've tried to come up with, and they turned their jail into an apartment building,
Yeah.
and
The old
they
city was
did
really neat.
what's called what do they call it, a garden
It's a
area?
it's a
bunch of little houses
cottage,
in one
a
area,
cottage neighborhood or a
neighborhood.
pocket neighborhood that we had talked about
and those were
the past
rentals
couple
too.
years.
Yeah.
They were really,
So that was very interesting.
yeah.
That's it.
All right. Neil? Geez, Paul?
An impromptu policies and procedures meeting, which Sean explained.
Thank you.
Had a scheduling conflict and couldn't make the airport meeting. And the only other thing was, last Sunday, I was at the gazebo park for an informal meeting also. And that's it.
All right. You, our department head reports. Bill. So he wants to get out of here, quick, by the way.
Yes. We are in the throes of summer, so we're getting ready for a busy weekend. So this week is all about packing the store tight for a holiday weekend. In your packet tonight was our liquor store update up through May 31st. Sales remain strong, but they're still less than last year, but we're following industry standards. I'm thankful for just the amount that we are less than last year. Hope to gain some ground this weekend, and the weather holds out for us as it did not most of the winter. Numbers in the informational packet. If there's any questions on anything, please give me a call and we can talk more about it. But staffing, I have an interview, Tark and I have an interview this week, possibly for additional part-time to give us a hand to get some of the folks out there a little bit that have been working hard while Zach and I were gone last week. A couple projects that we're working on. Received another cooler this week to house more of the new products that are out because I said I don't have enough cooler space, so they brought one. And so Burnix was kind enough to do that. So we're still resetting the store as we go on. June 4th, the floors were waxed. Lasted about 24 hours, Megan, before somebody broke something, so.
And I know it wasn't me this time, because
Longer than
I
you.
don't work there.
Also, the big news that we talked about at our last liquor board meeting is we'd like to do a fundraiser for the fire department. They need help raising money for their Cascade system. So on August 4th, from 6 to 8:30, we'll be doing a fundraiser at the American Legion. Plans are still being worked out, but we're going to talk about a raffle. I'm hoping to do a whiskey and a wine pull. Right now, I'm between departments at the state, getting permission. We're working with American Legion and the fire department, trying to get those licensed so we can do this and move forward. This will be like a walk-around wine event. There is going to be, well, right now I have 3 local breweries, a couple wineries, and then a lot of our vendors that come and do our regular shows are willing to come. And then for those that don't partake in alcohol, we are going to have a non-alcoholic table. So we'll have mocktails and some NA beers that people can try. So we'll have something for everybody. And
No, I'm looking at Paul, that's all.
okay. So keep that date in mind. We're going to have more advertising, more on Facebook, more on the city site. We have a meeting Wednesday to verify some more things. And we're getting really, really close. And we've got silent auction where we'll have some really nice things that will be donated. So that's my report.
All right. Thank you. Glad to see you're getting back up to full staff after somebody abandoned you. Ron?
Probably less breakages, though. I'll give him that.
First of all, in the parks, the fire pit is going to be installed this week. I'm actually starting tomorrow. The swim raft was installed last week, and people were out there using it pretty much before it was in place. So the swim raft, the insurance came in, and that is in your informational, and we received $9,200, I believe it was. And the township is taking it up, I believe, tomorrow night as to how much they will donate to the cause out there. Remember, kayaks are for rental out there. I think they've been going quite strong. Fireworks, I believe, is July 1st out there, and the concert in the park start this month, or in July. That is the 6th, 13th, 20th, and the 27th. So, compost site, reminder residents, there's plenty of wood chips and compost for the taking out there, and please utilize the donation box again, as the same with the RV site. Airport fuel, so far this year, we're over 9,000 gallons already, so there's been a lot of activity at the airport. And this afternoon, we did get a notice from Stearns County that 130th will be closed for this week as CP Rail is doing some work out there. So if you're trying to get to Bork Lumber, you're going to have to go through town or take some alternate route. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ron or Bill? Okay, Tarek.
All right, as to the meetings I attended, Public Works, Liquor Board, EDAP, and we also, I don't know if you mentioned it, Sean, the Ad Hoc Library Board.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that one had its first meeting.
That was the first, yeah, that was the first meeting. We have another meeting coming up this week to meet with the architect and discuss that. That'll be at the township. I also was at the AMPI meeting, and then met with Michelle Fishbach's representative, with Sean and Andy at the Fire Hall. And then one thing that came out after the EDAP meeting, I was notified that the owner of the Painesville Child Care Center is selling the building. So apparently, I guess he has some issues, personal issues and stuff, health-wise, and he can no longer continue. There is another business interested in it, but we haven't gotten that far down with them yet to see how serious they are. I know I had some talk with Ron about it, but hopefully, yeah, we'll be able to get that building filled with a business that will be beneficial to residents in town.
All right. Any questions for Tarek? All right. DJ, are you here for our open forum?
I am not.
You disappoint me again, sir. All right, then we'll move on to the adoption of our consent agenda. Includes the minutes listed on page 1, the vouchers on page 1 of our update totaling $320,860.32, along with the unfortunate but expected resignations of police officers there on page 3. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Soini. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, new business, and just programming note, we will move item G up to follow A, because Andy would like to stick around and then bail on us. Bill, do you want to talk more about your fundraiser?
Yes.
Anything more to say?
What we'd like to do, and would be through the Firemen's Relief Association, is to raffle off a gift card to purchase a pallet of Busch Light. And we would hold the tickets at $50 each and sell 250 tickets, would be the max, is what we're working with the state on. And just need your blessing to move forward on that.
Ron can get water, if that's what you need.
What's that?
Are you going to sell that many tickets for a pallet of water?
Well, yeah, we can talk about that later, but anyway. It is, they're corn cans, so very popular right now. so,
Cool.
yeah.
Nice.
I'm all good with it. What are we thinking projected profits or from that, or projected proceeds if everything goes well?
12,500 would be the total.
That's just the raffle, though.
That's just the raffle.
Yeah.
If we can do the wine pull, that depends on how many vendors will donate products. You know, right now I have 2 cases of wine ready to go. I know in the silent auction, there's going to be some of the most sought-after whiskeys out there. That will be silent auction. So we've got a potential to make some good money for these folks. So,
Well, and there's tickets too. We're selling tickets to get in.
yep, and with the, we're still working on the food part of it yet. Tarek and I will go meet with the Legion, but yeah, it should be a fun night. Our vendors are excited to do it, to ask them to come on a Friday night, and we wanted to do that before school started. I was very impressed about how many are stepping up to come help us out. So, but got some pretty good folks.
It's awesome.
Could, for those who watch this at a later time, Andy, could you explain what a cascade system is, so those who don't understand what it is, they'll get a better idea?
So yeah, our cascade system is nothing more than a way to fill our tanks. It's to fill the tanks for our SCBA's. Currently, we had a discussion, what was it, about a month ago, we were talking about the quality of air that's in the tanks. There is a level of oil in the tank. Right now, it's under the acceptable levels. When you put the mask on, you can actually smell or taste that oil in the air. And I believe it's approximately 25 years old, don't quote me on that, but it's definitely past the life expectancy that we gave it when we purchased it. So they'll fill our tanks, that's what we use to go into our fires and do all our rehab and things like that with the with active fires and cleanup and stuff.
And so with your new system too, because I do have a very scientific drawing of it here from the time I visited in April. You can't tell what it is, don't look at it. It only takes 1 or possibly 2 firefighters to fill the tanks with the new system as opposed to 4 or 5 now, is what I was told.
Right now, yeah, we currently have, there's usually about 4 or 5 of us that go through it. Only one person actually fills the bottle at a time, and then the other ones are going through the packs and doing inspections. What this will do, we can at least, depending on the unit we buy, we can buy a unit that'll fill either 2 at a time or 4 at a time, and they do make bigger ones. We're leaning towards just filling 2 bottles at one time, and that'll just increase it'll make it easier is what it'll really do for us, and it'll be actually in a safer unit. Currently, we have a steel tube that we slide our tank in. It's OSHA acceptable, kind of, it's what we've, been allowed to do for so long, but there's better technology out there and safer technology. So especially now that we've switched to the high pressure tanks.
This sounds like a clothes dryer full of wrenches when you start it, so that's,
Yeah.
sounds like it's on its last
noisy
legs for sure.
Andy, if you get this and you get a new building in 5-6 years, this could transfer?
I would assume so. Yeah, the only way I would assume it wouldn't is if there were new NFPA regulations or something that we would have to follow, and that would be depending on our grants and things like that we get, but yeah, I would say there's no reason it shouldn't go with us. Life expectancy still should be a 20-year life expectancy on something like this.
And I would say that, I think Neil's question is valid, but even if it doesn't, it's going to be like a deck chair off the Titanic if we have to buy a new Cascade system when compared to the cost of the whole building in general, so. I'm good with this. I have some additional questions after the motion before we go on, but I'm good with the fundraiser. Anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the liquor store fire department Cascade fundraiser and approve raffles with profits to go to the fire department for their Cascade system.
Motion by Thielen, is there a second?
A second.
Second by Brick. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Before we go on, when are we having our annual jurisdictional meeting? Has it been scheduled yet?
What are we referring to?
Your contracts, fire contracts.
Oh, it has not been scheduled. That's usually, you're talking with the townships?
Yeah.
That's in August is what we've been doing.
Okay. I'm thinking we should do 2. One to talk about just the normal stuff, and then another to talk about large expenditures, building, Cascade system, things like that.
That one would be a special meeting you're referring?
Yeah. And my thought on the Cascade system, I love the idea for a fundraiser. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Let's save everyone some money. But in talking to various firefighters and talking to Andy, the smell that's in there might not technically be dangerous, but when somebody's looking at donning a mask and running into a burning smoke-filled building, and the first thing they smell is smoke, I don't want that person wondering if they're gonna get out of that building alive too. I think we owe it to our firefighters. We said last year with the budget, we want to get to a place where our firefighters aren't fundraising for life-saving equipment that they need. And I think we just need to look at moving this one up, and that would take place, I think, at that meeting, getting all of the entities to agree to contribute. My thought is that if we have to dip into our reserves for our 47.5% or whatever it is, I'm willing to do that, but I'd like to get all of the other entities on board as well. So that's just my thought, and that's why I think we should do a special meeting to talk about the building and the Cascade.
Okay.
Just, you can disagree and do whatever you want, but that's my 2 cents.
Sean, if I may, this event that we're hosting, the firemen will be our guests. So
No, I get that, and I appreciate it.
because they do a lot, and every year in August, we do a fundraiser with MMBA for the fire department, so this will tie in right in with that. So So we just want them to come and hang out and have fun that night, so they do enough for us.
I didn't say it out loud, but I got it, but thank you. All right, anything else? Otherwise, we'll move on to the item G, the grant for the new emergency service center. Eric and Andy.
All right. Last month, we had asked, actually Sean asked Representative Damath and Senator Howe to come out here. We were asking them for help because we wanted them to see the state of our fire hall as well as the location of it next to the elementary school.
Can I interrupt you for just a second? We also reached out to Commissioner Bertram, who was going to make a meeting, and then we had to reschedule it at the last minute, so he wasn't able to get out here, but he did put us in touch with some other county resources as well.
Commissioner
So-
Bertram was also invited, as well as the Emergency Management Director, Aaron from Stearns County. However, due to the senator's schedule, they gave us like a 24-hour short notice meeting change.
Wasn't even that much.
Well, okay, I said 24 hours. So, you know, we had to accommodate them because obviously we wanted them to both come out here at the same time and see the building and be able to have Andy and his guys discuss the fire hall with them. So after that meeting, they were both very supportive of helping us try to find some state funding for building this fire hall, and we were notified of a grant through, I think, the governor's office. However, to do the grant, we had, because the grant program had already opened and it was closing within a week. So Chuck and I, and actually mostly Chuck and his guys, kind of scrambled to help put all that together. We managed to put it all together and submit it by the deadline, and it is a 50-50 matching grant. I mean, it could be more, but they're saying it has to be at least a 50-50 matching grant, so we don't know what the final is going to be, or if we're going to be part of this grant program. But we had to at least submit our application by the deadline, which we did, and that did not give us enough time to wait for the next council meeting to bring back and request that we do the resolution, which is also required. So you're seeing here now is a resolution in support of this grant application that we had already submitted. And I don't know what you want to add to that end.
I don't have anything to add.
Basically, this would be for the state bonding monies. So the governor does, as I understand it from speaking with the representative and the senator, the governor does an annual bonding tour, comes out, looks at various projects. It's something we worked on back with the Lake Avenue Bridge, is what Gene conveyed to me. It was before my time here, but did that then. So work with that project, hopefully get some state bonding dollars, which would of course significantly limit the amount of local funds that we would need to expend, which can then hopefully also be offset by any federal monies or other grant money that we could apply for.
Yeah, and obviously this is a grant. If we get it, great. But the first step is to see if we qualify and meet the requirements of this. So that's what this is for.
I think even if we don't get it this time around, we can refine the application for the next submission period, but this gets it open since we had that conversation. No. Unless there's anything further on that, I think a motion would be in order.
I have a question first.
Yes, sir.
50-50 matching grant. If you could explain that a little bit more, because I'm looking at the number here, that's almost $4 million.
It's actually, yeah, that is the 50%. The total amount is double that amount. So the amount that the city would need to bond for would be that amount.
Oh,
And that's what Sean was saying, that if we get the 50-50 match,
Yep.
that means there's 3.9 from our side, and the remaining part we can seek other grants for potentially. And I don't know, Chuck, if you want to add anything else to that.
No, these are all typically matching grants, and they're submitted for capital bonding, so.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we will definitely be looking for other sources if we get this 50-50.
Yeah. I think if I can say, we invited Minority Leader Damath out along with Senator Howe, sort of for a testing the waters type of event to see if they would support it and how they would do that. And the response that I got from them was overwhelmingly positive. I think Senator Howe spent all of 45 seconds talking to us before he said, yeah, you need a new building. Okay, what do you need from me?
It helped that he was a former fireman.
Yeah.
Yes, it did help that he was a former fireman, but he got it, he was there. So I think the fact that we had such a strong showing of support from our state representatives really pushed this into the direction of we need to at least apply for it while the support is there and not lose that momentum. But knowing that we probably need to do a heck of a lot more planning before anything comes along.
I did have a discussion with Senator Hall last winter, about a minute, and asked him that if he could consider at some point in time, instead of having the buck stop in Cold Spring, have it come west, because we still provide tax money to the rest of the county, and we'd like to get considered once in a while. And he said, okay, fine, and then he walked off. But I don't know if that made any difference, but it's nice to see this going in a direction where we can look forward to something.
Yeah, one more thing I would add is that this is not just for the fire hall, this is a public safety building, so it'll be the police department as well as the fire department in this building.
All right.
I have a concern on page 95.
Okay.
First paragraph, it says, "The current plan is to demolish the existing fire station." Wouldn't the property be worth more value with the building on it? I'm sure there's repair shops, this or that could be interested, or somebody just buy it for storage.
Yeah, there are interested parties, but
You know, even our Public Works Department has a strong interest in hanging on to it.
So I think that sentence should probably be struck.
What we have planned on doing is if this building, if we were to get this and proceed, then the plan was to sell this building. Obviously, it could be used for public works, but funds from the sale of this could go towards our matching portion as well.
Is there a way to submit an amendment to the application?
No.
Striking that?
do we need to if it says current plan? Because, you know, you can change your current plan.
Yeah.
Right. And that was, I had the same thought, Neil, reading through it. I thought, no, I don't want to demolish that. We should sell it or do something with it.
Yeah.
But I ultimately landed on things change. This is a fetus of an idea, and we can develop it and grow it. I don't see this as signing us up for
No, demolishing it, no.
it.
No, there'll be opportunities to modify things.
My bigger concern was if they think we're going to demolish the current building, is that going to harm our chances of getting the grant? But- So,
We should worry about that when the time comes.
I know, I don't expect that we'll get it this cycle. I think we're going to have to apply again. I think it's out there, we have the application in, but if this project moves forward, I think we'll have to hit it up in the next cycle, would be my guess before.
Well, this is a bonding session coming up.
I know, that's why we had to get it in,
I know.
so.
Fingers crossed.
All right. With that, unless there's any further discussion, I think a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve the submission of the grant application or resolution 2023-17, authorizing a 2023 capital budget request to the state of Minnesota for a grant to the city of Painesville for a project including pre-design, design, and construction of a fire station and emergency services center in the amount of $3,992,000.
The motion by Soini is stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hertzberg. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Andy. Enjoy your walkabout. Moving back up to page number 5 on the irrigation agreements. Ron, you want to talk to us a little bit about these?
Sure, okay, the first two there, Jarko and Flipson, those two are not currently expiring, however, they are getting close, I think it's 2024. And, but they both own pivots, or they own the property under the pivots number 6 and 8, which we do want to upgrade, and we don't want to stick $100,000 into each pivot and have a short contract, so that is why we want to get those upgraded. The one with Voss, that is expired, he wants a very short-term contract down to 2 years. And his concerns are, he is an organic farmer, he is very concerned about what is all in the water, mainly being the chlorides, which I can totally understand his point. And the second part of that, he also wants a separate, or Attorney Spooner actually recommended a separate agreement, one that his wife could sign, and that would include the option to purchase. So that is where we're at with these. Public Works, we did look at them all, and they did recommend.
All right, any questions about the agreements for Ron, or is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the irrigation agreements. Citizens, Bill and Kristen Flipson, Bruton Properties, LLC, Ken Jericho, and Doug Voss with the option agreement between the city and Doug and Beth Voss.
All right, there's a motion by Hertzberg, as stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Soini. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Great, jumping forward to page number 62, the next item on our agenda. 4, excuse me. Ron, back with the SCADA system.
SCADA system, yes. Our SCADA system was installed with the wastewater upgrade in 2012. And at that time, the entire system was bid out, and the automatic system was the low bid at that time. We've been with them obviously ever since. Had a lot of issues over the years. And I guess we could go on and on about the number of them. Just a few, obviously. Last year, September, we brought to the council to get it upgraded in the amount of $10,891. They came out to do it several months ago and found out they couldn't do it because of the hardware. It was their equipment. They should have known, they knew exactly what was in here, so they came back and now want $32,093. Some of the other issues, just called to diagnose some telemetry issues. They couldn't figure it out. And so we went back ourselves and found it was a bad antenna. It was just loose wiring. Just another one. Wells, number 7, we have a surge protector issue there. We're still waiting for a call back from them. Basically, they mishandled this here. There was a failure to notify us of the programs. You'd think that we would have annual updates. They recommended back in 12 and still to this day not doing upgrades to the system. Let's see, in the Maywood lift, there's a real time clock in there. They call it a RTC. Anyways, that went out or had an issue with it. They came out, tried to diagnose it, didn't do anything but reboot it, which we could have obviously done ourselves too. And it cost us $810, and about 8 months later, we had the exact same problem. So there's just multiple things here that reasons why we, or the Public Works again, did not recommend going with them. We recommend going with Preferred Controls. They're a much more local company from up in Albany. We feel we could get much better service from them. So any other questions beyond that, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
No, you had me when you told me about this 2 months ago or whenever it was, that they forgot what equipment they installed and wanted 3 times as much money to do it right. Done. Nope.
I would agree.
I think it is a significant added cost, but the proposed benefits outweigh the cons, in my opinion, with better service and a local company. I agree with Public Works that we should move forward with Preferred Controls.
Ron, we have this money in the CIP.
Correct. Yes.
The only reading the attorney's letter, he kind of recommends a low bid. And if we're not happy with that low bid, we have 3 bids here, maybe we should resubmit with only the 2 bids, and then we'd be in compliance.
I think we have sufficient evidence here that
Okay? Because I was just thinking that might be another option, but that would delay the project. I'm
it
sure.
would.
Well, I'd make the motion to approve the quote from Preferred Controls amount of $50,880.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Brick, as stated on the action sheet. Regarding the need for going with a bid over the low bid, did you want to put any findings or anything like that in your motion?
I guess basically because we've been unhappy with the service provided and the charges to come basically $2,000 per call.
Yeah.
And the one on Albany, what, 500 or less for a call.
It's local.
So the long-term savings here are going to outweigh the,
So in a couple, 3 years, you're gonna have that $10,000 made up pretty fast.
yep. Okay. So motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Brick, citing to the long-term cost as the justification for going with the higher bid. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Right, the irrigator control system on page 82. Everyone pay attention, Ron's going to give you different numbers than what appear on your sheet.
Yes, first of all, thank you. Under modern farm equipment, that should be 42,500, not 442.
Okay, that makes a difference.
And then when we do get to the motion, we are not actually approving any amount tonight. What we'd like approved is just to add this to the irrigation project, which we'll have coming up, and it would be bid out in that. But anyways, this was actually brought forward by one of the irrigators. Currently, the swing tower is controlled by a cable that runs all the way around the end tower. And the end tower just follows that cable all the way around. The new systems now are GPS controlled, where we can, obviously, they can be adjusted. And he would gain, if you look on the maps in there, it says currently we're irrigating 124 acres, and that would go up to 134 acres. And in knowing that, the wetlands, they have agreed to, if you can see the letter in there, up to $10,000 the cost. And we did talk to Stannis also, and she would donate $3,000 towards getting this here improvement taken care of. So, with increasing the 10 acres and knowing that, the Public Works also did review this, and they recommended it, adding it to that irrigation project, which we will have coming up.
Any further discussion for Ron? Otherwise, a motion would be in order to approve the Pivot 21 GPS improvement and add it to the Pivot replacement project to be incorporated for bids when that project comes right for bidding.
I'll make that motion.
Right, there's a motion by Soini. I'll repeat it for Kristen in the back, just so that she's got the language. It is to approve the Pivot 21 GPS improvement and add it to the Pivot replacement project when that is right for bidding. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hertzberg. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Right, page 89, letter E of our agenda, the irrigator replacement project, Ron. Again, with different numbers.
The MIC has there is one typo in here also, and the motion to approve would be 27,500, not the 29,000. The irrigation, we talked about this over the past number of years. Initially, we talked about doing 4 pivots. However, we are bringing that down to 3 pivots. It would be pivots 6, 8, and 17. We removed pivot 2 off of there, noting the issue with one of the irrigators and also possible pond placement for future expansion. So with that, the estimated cost, it's roughly $100,000 per pivot right now, so we'd be looking at $300,000 plus there. And the pivots, these are all pivots that were installed in 1984, so we've seen some very good lifespan on them. 40 plus years or 40 years, that's asking a lot out of some equipment. It sits out in the weather all year long. So, Chuck, you had anything to add to it, or?
No, I think that would go through the normal process, put together plan specifications and out for public bid.
Can you get chloride filters?
There you go. We can specify those.
Perfect. I don't know what it's gonna cost to engineer them, but you know.
Ron,
Yes.
did we get the airless wheels on the irrigators?
As of now, we have not received them yet, no.
Okay, so we don't know if they're gonna work or not. 'Cause I was just thinking,
I will follow up and make sure we get them.
if they work, that's what we wanna go with on the new one.
Correct, yes.
Right, so the recommendation now is to authorize the approval of $27,500 for Bolton and Mink to draw up the plans and specs for the replacement project. Funds there coming from the sewer equipment replacement fund.
I'll make the motion to approve 27,500 for Bolton and Mink to incorporate and prepare the plans and specs for the irrigator replacement project with funds to come from the sewer equipment replacement fund.
Right, there's a motion by Hertzberg as stated on the action sheet with the amendment from 29,000 to 27,500. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Soini. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Right, intersection of First and Washburn. Ron, do you want to talk about this or do you want me to?
Sure, I can start, I guess. If everybody, I'm sure, has driven up into that intersection, especially the last year or so with the congestion up there and the hospital, construction workers parking out there all the time, it is tedious going through that intersection. So how can we open that up? And I think the best way is, or at least the Public Works, they recommended that we go 40 feet in each direction from the intersection and post no parking from here to curb. And also the part that I missed is having a crosswalk there crossing from First, or from Washburn across over to the hospital. I guess if you want to add on to that, you can.
I'll just say I asked Public Works to take this up just because if you go a little bit further right on the cutoff map is my house. So I live and drive that intersection regularly and I know how dangerous it can be. I've had a number of close calls. I think the only reason why we haven't had a major accident there is because everybody is going so slowly. But if I'm driving a car up and down Washburn, trying to take a left or right onto First, you can't see. You have to creep out into the intersection, and like if I'm coming southbound from Gazebo Park and taking a left to my house, I have to creep through basically into the westbound lane of traffic before I can see what, if anything's coming east, before I can pull out in the middle of the day. So I asked Public Works to talk about this. I thought maybe a four-way stop would be appropriate here. There's one just on the other end of the block, and they recommended just expanding the no parking zone. I think it's certainly worth trying out and seeing what happens. I think anything is better than doing nothing, because it's just a matter of time, and if we can solve it with a couple gallons of paint, let's do it.
Well, the construction will be done next year. Does that mean we're gonna leave it that way?
I think we leave it that way. I know personally it's gotten worse over the last year, but that's not to say it wasn't an issue before. It's always been there since I've moved in.
Has anybody talked to Centercare about it? I mean, do they know we're going to make no parking in that corner?
I talked to Steve Stang about a four-way stop, and he was good with that. I have not reached out to anyone from Centricare about expanding the no parking.
We don't know what their first question is going to be. Now, where do we park?
Well, I think Centricare has been telling their employees that they should be parking in other areas already.
Okay.
And what happens is they send out a mass email, and people's behavior changes for about a week, and then it slowly starts going back to normal. I think with the vacation of the nursing home and things like that over there, there's enough room for parking. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
getting people to actually do it.
So I'll make a motion to approve no parking within 40 feet of the intersection of First Street and Washburn Avenue, and post no parking here to corner at this location along with curb painting.
Okay, there's a motion by Thielen as stated on the action sheet. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Brick. Any further discussion?
Did you want to add a crosswalk on there?
Oh, yes. The recommendation coming from Public Works that Ron said that, and just so that everybody knows with the minutes, I don't know who was copied on the email, but Jen Willing had some family issues this last week, so she was pushing really hard to get stuff out early, which meant that some of the things that might have been proofed had to go out in their draft form. So that's why we have some typos in here that we wouldn't otherwise have. But the recommendation from Public Works was, along with the expansion of the no parking zone, to also paint in the crosswalk at that intersection as well.
Do we need to offer the amendment to paint in the
I
crosswalk?
think it's adopting the recommendation, so your motion was to adopt the recommendation of Public Works, as I understood it.
Yep.
Megan, are you good with that for your second?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is to adopt the recommendation from Public Works as far as no parking and painting the crosswalk. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, going on, we did the grant discussion, page 100 then, the employee appreciation event, something we've done for the last few years. Difference this year, we're recommending moving it back to the afternoon. It seemed like we had a better employee turnout during those times. The proposed time on here is from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Jen has 3 weeks in September. I would personally prefer that we do it earlier, before the weather turns too nasty.
Well, last year it was really hot.
Well, it's going to be again, because
We're in that kind of cycle.
Yeah.
That'll be school
I have a
pickup
conflict
time then,
on
right?
the 26th.
Or
Jeans and no, what's that?
It'll be like school pickup time will be in the middle of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jean's a no-go on the 26th.
But I don't count.
I'm wide open.
It's September.
Okay. Who wants to make a motion for the 19th? We'll pick the one in the middle.
I'll move to set the annual employee appreciation and recognition event for Tuesday, September 19th from 2 to 4:30 p.m.
The motion by Brick to set the annual employee appreciation recognition event for September 19th from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Thielen. Any discussion? How are we planning things for September, is all I have to say.
Yeah.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Right. On page 101, para membership for Officer Schwinghammer, who was recently hired as a part-timer. This is something that we have to do in order to ensure that his hours worked are appropriately reported to para. I will say, as we discuss this, I did ask Jen if these motions are something that we can just put on our consent agenda in the future. If anybody's opposed to us doing that, let me know, and we can take them off. But I thought this was pretty routine that we should probably just consent it going forward.
Sounds good.
Yeah, works for me.
Make the motion to approve resolutions 2023-16, para membership for part-time police officer.
Motion by Soini, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Hertzberg. Motion is stated on the action sheet regarding Resolution 2023-16. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. All right. Tarek, you want to talk to us about the letter you got?
Yeah, I received a letter from Bill Fuchs asking us if we could change the date, or sorry, change the location because he will not go into a bar. And also reiterated that there are some other businesses downtown that probably would not do that as well. So he is suggesting that we do it in a public building versus in a private building.
As well as the ability to video it for people who can't attend, I think.
Yeah, that's also another advantage. We can record it if needed.
I did, after reading through Mr. Fuchs's letter, I reached out to May and just asked her what she thought about everything. I also apologized that we didn't think about her group of folks when we made this decision. I reinforced to her that it was not malicious on our part, but just pure unfortunate ignorance. But she understood, and we'll discuss and go forward. My only thought on the recording, because I had it envisioned that it was going to be more of a come in and explore at your leisure. I didn't think we were proposing necessarily like a program or anything that would benefit from being recorded.
I just thought of it because it's on the agenda. Otherwise, I didn't think about it either.
I don't think it needs to be recorded. It's like when we had the street projects and things, and the people that are involved, they come in, they see what the plans are and ask questions, and then they can leave.
That was my thought as well.
Yeah.
The other thought I had is maybe we should hold it at the library. And everyone's going to say the library's too small, there's not enough parking to hold an open house at the library. And to that I would say, that's the point.
We know.
Bad message, but effective message.
So I did check with Kateri, the library's available on the 31st. They're willing to host us if we want to do it there. They have the ability to do AV projection stuff for us if we want to do that. So I'll defer to the council, but I think that if we can show the need for both a new library and the discussion about the road improvement project, maybe we kill two birds with one stone.
Be kind of tight.
I don't know
It
if
would
we
be kind of tight.
comfortable to make a point if we need their support
I
later.
don't even know if Chuck can have room for his stuff out. Could have it outside, I suppose, in the front yard.
Yeah, it'll rain. The second we plan for that is when it's going to rain.
Yeah, then let's plan it that
Well,
way.
we'll have a gazebo.
We need it.
We have City Hall then.
Right.
So,
Well, the meeting should be downtown.
the meeting should be downtown, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to having it here. I had the thought and thought it warranted at least a discussion.
It's a nice connection.
I guess I'm still wondering if we should have hors d'oeuvres.
I think so. I think we talked to Doris about.
I mean, that's kind of an attractant. That's
Yep.
letting people know that we want them to come and get
No,
informed.
we haven't sent letters out yet or anything, no.
We need to soon, though.
Yeah, because,
I mean,
and some of the buildings are owned by somebody and rented by somebody else, and so they need to let their renters know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our original plan was a lunch or whatever, so I think we should
appetizers,
continue that.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to continue the finger foods and,
punch,
yep.
water.
I did, on sending out letters, I did reach out to Jacob Bertram. He's going to get this included in their next chamber newsletter, but he needs that by the 30th. So once we get a location approved, Tarek and Jen can draw something up and get that sent over to him so that it can go out in the chamber newsletter, as well as whatever letters we send out. Get it out through multiple ways.
Okay. I'll make the motion to hold the 2027 Downtown Street Improvement Project informational meeting in the City Hall Council Chambers on Monday, July 31st, 2023, from 5 to 7.
This motion by Soini is stated on the action sheet with the meeting held here at City Hall Monday, the 31st, from 5 to 7. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Thielen. Any further discussion? Really wanted it at the library.
I know you did.
We have something else there where we shouldn't make people uncomfortable because we need their support.
Don't you think it was too small?
I know, and I
Let's
told
do
you.
something else there.
All right, calling the question. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, we have a number of informational things here. Then at the end, our financial reports, the notice of the Centricare change as they continue their construction project. As Ron mentioned, the insurance payment, the liquor store reports, and then our meeting schedules. With that, it's 6:59. We're adjourned in under an hour, folks. Thank you.
Nice.